Welcome back, everybody. We're turning attention now to a London derby on Saturday night, West Ham against Spurs, and talking about a busy international break with plenty of drama in this great soap opera we love. Daniel Levy, after nearly a quarter century, having left Spurs. What did you make of it? Just tell us your thoughts and what you remember of your time with him at Spurs.
My thoughts was I wasn't surprised. I did hear a little whisper, probably a month ago. I'm sure it's a mutual discussion what's been had in-house with Enoch and there's Glenn with him. And he don't look bad now, Daniel. He looks well there. There's in the Sven. It's probably the best place to be. But he's what is the legacy? What he will leave? It's a magnificent training ground and a fantastic stadium.
Yeah.
He would have liked to have won more trophies in the time he had been at the football club. Of course he would, but he was fortunate that he won one last year and won a big one, which took him into the Champions League, and then decided to sack the manager who achieved it for him, which was a little bit of a head scratcher to me. But listen, he's paid. We talked about Marinakis, and Daniel Levy's no different. He's in there to run the football club, and he makes decisions. And he's not afraid to make decisions either. He makes some big decisions down the line. I think that he still owns 25% or whatever it is at the football club. So listen, I just can't picture Daniel Levy being bored every day, because if he's not had a hands-on, he's been hands-on for so long, and he really hasn't been active. I saw him there every single day when I was at the club, and he was very much hands-on. For him to then put the pen down and the laptop and not get involved in anything, I find that very difficult to believe, so it'd be interesting what his next move is.
We will all be watching and waiting. I know you talked about Ange Postecoglou after winning that trophy, but Thomas Frank, apart from the last game, which obviously I think surprised us given the way that they'd started, he has made a near-instant impact.
Yes, defensively they're more solid, they're more organised and efficient in the way that they use the ball, they track back. Kudus, I think it was in the second game, was particularly impressive. And I think that we'll see a lot more of this particular Spurs iteration, if you like, rather than the one that we saw before, far less chaotic.
The trouble is with Thomas, he can lose at home to Bournemouth if you're a Brentford manager. You cannot lose at home to Bournemouth. And I know Ange did last year, but any Tottenham manager will come under scrutiny, especially if you lose a London derby against West Ham, which is West Ham's biggest game of the season in your next fixture. Puts a lot of pressure on the next one. They got outplayed massively by an Oriola side. Bournemouth were brilliant, and they sold some of their best players as well. So it was a footballing lesson what they got, and to me, I thought Bournemouth were absolutely fantastic. I really did. But it was like I say, it was convincing to say the least. The goalkeeper was the best player on the pitch, Vicario, kept him in the game. But I just think he got outmanoeuvred by a very, very clever manager in Oriola. So I'm with Darren. I think he will change. He hasn't got one way of playing. He plays very direct. I can't wait for the game to evolve, and I think Tottenham could be the first to play two up front.
Yeah.
I think when Solanke's fit and Richarlison, I think they're capable of doing that.
Totally
and they get the ball wide, they get the ball into the box. Everyone wants to see it back. Trouble is, around the world to see it back, there's not enough strikers out there. Because no one wants to be a striker anymore. They all want to be number 10s or play wide and come inside. But I just think Thomas is capable of doing it, especially at home in some of the fixtures, like the Bournemouth one. But unfortunately for Tottenham, it was a very bad result, but pressure goes on the West Ham game.
Yeah, absolutely. They've done some great business since then. Kolo Muani coming in, Xavi Simons as well. Looking forward to seeing them in action.
Is it great business?
But you don't think so?
Well, it remains to be seen. I think the jury's out with any signings any club makes. If them players have not played in the Premier League before, I think we've got to wait before we say they're great signings.
Okay, in 3 weeks' time, I'll be back here and you'll be saying, what a signing, what a signing. Tim said that the West Ham game is now the biggest game for them. Why?
Well, because you've spent a huge amount of money, so now we want to see a return on the investment. Now, a return isn't the first 2 wins and then go back to being the Spurs of last season. Return is bouncing back quickly, getting the best out of the players that you've brought in almost immediately, because that's what it demands at this level, and making sure that a West Ham side that you don't have a good record against, suddenly you can end that. I think the last 3 games at the London Stadium were 1 apiece. So what Spurs have to do, given that they brought that quality in, they've got to show that they can use that quality better and maybe make some decisions around the players that underperformed in the last game.
Well, Graham Potter spoke about the importance of this encounter. We're going to hear from him now, and keeping that winning momentum after they won last time out.
All I know is any Premier League game you play, it's always a tough match. The level is getting higher and higher. That's the reality, I think. And as I repeat, it's an important game for us. You know, it's an important game. We understand how much it means to our supporters. So we want to finish off, or carry on the feeling of positivity that we had against Forest. Carry that into the game. Do our best and try to win.
What a turnaround for them last time out. After conceding 8 goals in the opening 2 games, suddenly they beat Forest 3-0.
If they'd have lost that game, I think Potter would have had to go. It sounds like a big thing to say, but the negative momentum had been building up against them because of the performances in the first 2 matches. And I think everyone expected a very organised Forest side to beat them. I wonder if maybe the Forest players had felt the effects of what was rumbling around the club. Clearly, you know, when you're a player, you get to understand and detect the mood music, because they were all over the place in this game, whereas West Ham were terrific, particularly late on. So, yeah, this is going to be a fascinating game to see which West Ham turns up.
They're capable. I mean, they've got the confidence now of the win against Forest. They know what this game means. Jared Bowen is in great form. Sinisterra there comes on and does very well. Kudos going back to, you know, West Ham. Be interesting to see if he plays and performs. So some good matchups there. I think it's a hard one to call this game. It really is. But West Ham have a lot more chance now after the fantastic result before the international break.
The derby, West Ham, Spurs, the first of the 2 big derbies.
Hard one, this. I don't think West Ham are going to be consistent. I think that win was a flash in the pan. I think Spurs win this one. So I'm going to say 1-2.
I'll say 1-1. I just think home advantage with the confidence of last week might just give them a draw, West Ham.
Well